So we're now a couple of weeks into Season 1 of Marvel Rivals, and this game, it's safe to say, it's a success. So I wanted to think about, what if it wasn't Marvel Rivals, it would be a DC kind game. So a DC hero shooter named, I don't know, something like DC Rivals or something like that. So in this video, I'm going to be taking that theory and making it a reality by naming every single character that would be on this game's roster. This game would be much different than the other DC hero shooter that we got previously, being Gotham City Imposters, which, yeah, it's safe to say that game failed. That game truly sucked. I never played it, I didn't even know it existed. But yeah, it shut down when it released. But before I start naming every single character on the roster and their roles, I want you to talk about the team-up abilities, because that are one of the things that make Marvel Rivals such a great experience. So in Marvel Rivals, we all know that 3 characters make a team-up, or sometimes with Spider-Man and Squirrel, 2 characters make a team-up. In this game, I will also have that, like the dynamic duo and the world's finest, but I will also have team-ups. So the Justice League, if you play with, I don't know, say for example you have 2 Justice League members, you get maybe bonus damage or abilities for them, and the more Justice League members you have on your team, the better they are with the team-up abilities. Same with the Teen Titans, and if I add any more, the Watchmen or whatever. So in Marvel Rivals, as of this date, there are 19 Duelists, 8 Vanguards, and 8 Strategists in the game. So 35 characters. I'll be taking them all and changing them to DC characters, not their counterpart, just having the base game with 35 rosters, so if the DC game would be like today. So in this video, there will be 17 Duelists, 11 Vanguards, and 7 Strategists in the DC Rivals game. So without anything further to say, let's just name them off. So obviously the first spot has to go to probably the most iconic superhero of all time, being Superman. And that's such an interesting character to put in the game. Obviously he's going to be on Vanguard, but he can fly lasers, so he's going to be a 5-star character definitely, because he's going to be such a difficult Vanguard to play and take up some damage for your team. I have some old ideas for Superman, like for example he'll fly up and maybe take a person with him, do his iconic Injustice 2 move, super move, and slam them to the ground then. Or like I would like mostly is the super flare ability that he not that long ago got. But yeah, I don't know how they would interpret that. Maybe just a blast that would, like Wanda's, will kill everyone in distance. But anyways, let's move on to the second character of the Trinity, being probably the most famous and iconic female superhero of all time, also a Vanguard, Wonder Woman. And yes, she has to have an ability where she uses her braces to block incoming fires or damage or whatever. I think there's no other roles she can't get except Vanguard, so those 2 will be the first 2 characters on the list. The third character on the roster is obviously the final member of the Trinity. It's none other than the greatest detective, Batman. And I was thinking about making him a support, but I ended up putting Duelist on him. He could have a similar kit like Moon Knight from our Rivals, but obviously he would draw a lot of people in because he is probably the most famous character in DC and will bring a lot of different players around to play him. Keeping up with the Justice League train, we have Martian Manhunter, who's going to be the first strategist of this game. I think, yeah, Martian Manhunter obviously is a very bulky character like Superman and could be a tank, but I don't think I want him to be that. Then he would have a similar move to Superman, but obviously different because he's a Martian. But I think a strategist is a good fit for the Martian Manhunter. Next up, we have the Flash, Barry Allen probably, because I like him more. He will be a duelist and probably one of the hardest characters in the game to incorporate, and obviously play. To be honest, I don't really know how the Flash would work in the game, but we will see when Quicksilver comes to Marvel Rivals, which will 100% happen. Maybe he starts really fast off, and as you do more damage, he slows down, but I don't know. Time will tell. Then we have Green Lantern, Hal Jordan specifically. I think every single Green Lantern can come to the game because they're not the same, they're very different. I don't want Green Lantern or Hal Jordan to have a Jon Stewart skin because they are so different. Green Lantern Hall Jordan, I think strategist puts him up. He puts shields around everyone, and his ult would be probably he turns into a max suit or whatever. And like Mr. Fantastic, for example, I don't know how they would do that, but I want Hall Jordan to be a strategist. And later on, if they add John Stewart, he could be a duelist. Next up, another strategist, a character that could be both in the Justice League team up and the Teen Titans team up, so he'll probably be one of the best strategists in the game, Cyborg. I think his ult will be similar to Iron Man, but obviously he wouldn't be flying up in the air. So yeah, I think he's a good pick to be strategist. Next up, we have the couple Green Arrow and Black Canary, both being duelist. Black Canary having an ult that she just screams and obliterates people in front of her, and Green Arrow something similar to Hawkeye that he never missed. Green Arrow and Hawkeye probably have the same kit anyways, but I think Black Canary would work very differently in the game to anyone who is in Marvel Rivals at the moment. Now we have Aquaman, who should have probably been one of the earlier names I named in the list, but like always, a lot of people just forget this character. Aquaman will be a duelist and probably have the same exact kit that Namor does in Marvel Rivals because they're basically the same character, to be honest. Not the story, but their abilities and all that. So yeah, Aquaman will be a duelist. Next up, we have two Robin characters, none of them actually being Robin. We have Dick Grayson, Nightwing, and we have Jason Todd, Red Hood, both being duelist. Red Hood would work similar to the Winter Soldier, Bucky Barnes in Marvel Rivals, because yes, they have very similar characters in the comics. And Nightwing, we don't really know how he works. He'll probably work similar to Daredevil, where he will be a hand-to-hand combat character, not a firing character. So yeah, those two obviously need to be in the game. We finally have another Vanguard, being Dr. Fate. Dr. Fate will work similarly to Doctor Strange, but obviously a better character in my opinion, and a more powerful character in my opinion. And he would be very sick, a lot of ideas for costumes for him and everything. I think Dr. Fate would work perfectly in a game like this. So he is next up in the roster. Next up, we have a fan favorite, Nightwing's girlfriend, or one of his girlfriends actually, Starfire, who will be a duelist and work like Iron Man, be in the air, or probably, to be more specific, work like the Human Torch, just being there, throwing fireballs or whatever she does. And her ult will probably, I don't even know what it is, blasting an area with her green thingies or whatever. I don't know what her ult would actually be. But I think Starfire would actually be a fire character in this game. You see what I did there? Anyways, let's continue. We have moved towards the Teen Titans character, and next up in the Teen Titans is Raven, who will be a duelist character, and we also have Beast Boy, who will be a Vanguard character. Raven will work similar to Scarlet Witch in Marvel Rivals, and Beast Boy would actually be a fun character. I think his kit would have a button like Cloak and Dagger where you can switch from form to form. One of his form being a Vanguard Gorilla form, and maybe you would have, I don't know, a monkey form for the duelist side. But I think his mainly would be a Vanguard Gorilla type character, where he just transforms into that like the Hulk, or he would be a fun character to incorporate into the game. Next up, we have Jaime Reyes, Blue Beetle, the third Blue Beetle, who will be a duelist and would probably be similar to Iron Man in his firing abilities, but obviously he could change from a long-range character or shooter to a duelist type combatant character with his blades or fists. I don't know really, just whatever you want to be, truly. He'll be a fantastic character in this game also. Next up, we will have another magic-based character, being Satana, who will be a strategist and would heal everyone with her cards or magic tricks. She has to be in this game. She's a fan favorite, and I think, to be honest, if they made this game, she'll probably be day one release. But now we have talked a lot about heroes. Let's move on to villains who will be in DC Rivals or DC Partners, like they call it over on TikTok. And the first two villains are obvious. They're both going to be duelists, and that's the Joker and Harley Quinn, or Harley Quinzel, which would work probably like in the Suicide Squad Kill Justice League game for Harley Quinn, where she can move around very quickly, has a gun and obviously her hammer. The Joker would have knife and a pistol, and they'll both be like the Black Widow in the game, can press triangle, whatever it is, on other computers, and switch between a melee and a long range weapon, like a lot of other different characters in the game. Next, we have Harley Quinn's girlfriend, working a lot like Mantis in the game, being a strategist, none other than Potion Ivy, with her plans being just healing everyone and doing damage boost. She'll probably have the same exact kit that Mantis has in Marvel Rivals. Next up, we have another Batman rogue, or someone would consider him a Teen Titans rogue, being Deathstroke Slade Wilson, who will be a duelist and would probably be my main if this game existed, because he's such a cool character, has such a cool design, and would be so much fun to play with his blades or even his guns, but mostly it would have to be a melee character with his katanas or blades. The next two characters on this game's roster will be Sinestro and Atrocitus from Green Lantern's Rogue Gallery. Sinestro being a duelist, and Atrocitus obviously being a Vanguard. So you have every three roles as a Green Lantern, Red Lantern, and the Sinestro Corps characters. Similar with Hal Jordan, their kit will be, but obviously Sinestro mainly focuses on damage, and Atrocitus mainly focuses on tanking, and obviously being a Vanguard. I have some ideas for Atrocitus' ult. Maybe he pulls out his cats and lasers everyone and destroys them, or he simply just pukes all over them, which would be brutal, first off, and obviously a very fun ultimate to have. Next up, besides the Joker, one of the most iconic villains in DC Comics being Lex Luthor. I would have him in his mech suit, obviously, and he would be a Vanguard character. I think it's such important to have Lex Luthor in the game for Superman, and obviously him being very iconic. I want Lex Luthor to be a Vanguard who can span clones of himself, like Loki for example, but he couldn't switch to them. He'll just span robots that will fire towards the enemy. So I think Lex Luthor would be a very annoying character in the game, but also very good. With the hype of obviously Superman and the DCU castings, and Jason Momoa got cast as Lobo will also be included as a Vanguard in this character. Obviously he can't die, he's banned from heaven, he's banned from hell, so he is a perfect character to ride on his bike and be a Vanguard type character. To make sure that magic characters have a part in every type of character, strategist, duelist, and obviously Vanguards, we have none other than John Constantine being the duelist type magic character. John Constantine, a fantastic character. If you don't know him, please do yourself a favor and pick up his books or whatever. He would be one of those characters that I think would be such a fun addition to the game. And another character that's very included with him is Swamp Thing, being a Vanguard. And Swamp Thing would probably have the same exact kit that Groot has in the game. But I know there are different characters in the comics, way different. Swamp Thing is way more powerful than ever, but I think Swamp Thing would work more like Groot in DC Rivals. Next up, we have a character who is very similar to Thanos in terms of size, and that is Darkseid. I don't know why Thanos isn't in Marvel Rivals as a day one release. I know he's a very difficult character to incorporate into the game, but he's such a gigantic character in the Marvel universe that he has to be in it. So in this time for the DC game, we would have Darkseid as a Vanguard, and we would also have Doomsday as a Vanguard, who would work similar to the Hulk. But I think those two characters have to be in the game because they're actually iconic and great characters, a part of the Superman Rogue. So Darkseid and Doomsday both being Vanguards included in the game. Next up, we're back to the good characters, and we have Shazam being a duelist, and then we don't have a good character, more like an anti-hero, Black Adam being a Vanguard. Shazam would have to transform to Shazam from Billy, and then back if he takes a lot of damage, and will probably be flying around as a duelist, obviously blasting people. Black Adam, I think he has to be more of a Vanguard. I don't want them to be too similar, but obviously they're more similar in the comics, but yeah. So Shazam as a duelist and Black Adam as a Vanguard. Next up, we have Mr. Terrific being a strategist, Superman Legacy, or is it called just Superman now, is coming out. He's going to be a big part in it, so I want him to be in this game. He's actually also a very good character, and I think the strategist role fits him perfectly. I also have Red Tornado as a strategist. I know a lot of people want him to be a duelist type character, and that makes probably more sense, but I think Red Tornado is going to fit as a strategist in this game. And finally, the 35th character in this game is none other than Plastic Man, who will work very similar to Mr. Fantastic in Marvel Rival. And yes, Plastic Man is now going to be a duelist Vanguard type character. But anyways, that's going to be it for the DC Rivals roster. That's 35 different characters. Obviously, there's so many more characters in DC. So if this video does well, I'll probably make a part 2 with the updates up to probably like 60 characters. So yeah, comment down below which characters you would like to see in DC Rivals, which aren't a part of this video. Give me some ideas, but I don't think I need them, to be honest, because there's such a big character roster in DC that there will probably be such a... I could probably make 3, 4, 5 more parts of this. But if you could like this video, it really mean a lot to me. And if you don't want to miss the next part, then please subscribe to the channel. But anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all later. Goodbye.